I got the podcast deal, I got the recognition, I got everything I thought I wanted. So why did I just quit? Hey guys, welcome back to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Keith, and I have some news for you regarding the podcast. So I did something this week that sounds completely backwards. In fact, it sounds crazy. A couple of years ago, I manifested a podcast deal, and this was a big dream of mine. It felt very surreal because it was something that I didn't even think would happen until, many years from now when I'm at a much bigger place than I am now. But it did. It all just sort of unfolded. And I was so excited about it. I felt like I finally made it. And this week, I put in my 90-day notice to walk away from it. And you're probably thinking, why would someone walk away from something they dreamed about, something that was like a vision board dream? And if I'm really honest, I don't think that it's that I wanted the media deal as much as I wanted to be able to say I had one. Like, it sounded impressive to me. It made me feel like I finally made it. It was this external validation that I thought that I needed. And in the beginning, it really fed my ego. Like, really, it felt like Christmas because I was getting all kinds of free stuff from sponsors and it was fun. I'm not going to lie, I really enjoyed that. But I didn't really feel good about all of the ads. And really from the beginning, I felt very like iffy and I was getting a lot of intuitive nudges about it, but I just told myself, this is what you do when you reach this level. Everybody does it. All the big podcasters have ads. And I just kind of ignored that feeling that I was giving or getting. And as time went on and I started looking at it and looking at, my own business and my own products, I realized I was giving away the prime real estate on my podcast to other companies, which is essentially affiliate marketing. And that's fine, if you're just starting out in your business and you don't have your own products, but I have my own products. I have an established business. So I'm just kind of like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I should be promoting my stuff, the stuff that I talk to you guys about on these episodes. And yet I'm like putting all these ads in with all these different companies. And I just started feeling like I didn't feel good about it and I didn't want to do it anymore. And I got to the point this year where I was just feeling like I was burning out with the podcast. And I've never felt that way before with the podcast. Like, the podcast has been the one thing where I'm just like, I love this. I feel like I could do it forever. And this was really the first time I started questioning it, like, just battery low. Oops. Okay, my light had a low battery. We'll just turn that off. And so I was talking to my mom about it, and she said, maybe you just need to take a little break from it, And she was like, why don't you tell everyone you're taking off the rest of the summer or do like a series or switch to like the seasons format where people have like season one, season two, and then take breaks in between. And I was like, yeah, that actually feels like a good idea. But then I immediately realized, wait a minute, I can't do that. I'm contractually obligated to keep recording weekly and to keep delivering all these ads. And that's when it really hit me that this podcast was taking away the thing that I value most, which is my freedom. And it's the same damn pattern I have found myself in over and over again and again that ties me down and has me answering to someone else. It's like the corporate world all over again. I don't have a boss, but now I'm, answering to like sponsors or the media group. Um, and I'm making decisions based on another company instead of based on my own company and instead of based on my intuition. And so, from the very beginning, my motto has always been manifest a life you don't need a vacation from. And I was really feeling like I needed a vacation from podcasting. And that was my big red flag because I've had that feeling in other parts of my business, but never with the podcast. This has always been like my rock, my foundation. I've always enjoyed it. And by the way, like this has nothing to do with the media group. They were actually wonderful to work with. It's just that it wasn't aligned with what I truly wanted. And I think we get caught in that trap without even realizing it. Like we talk about subconscious beliefs and inheriting beliefs from other people, from your parents, from society. But we don't always talk about how you can inherit desires and how the thing that you think you want might not actually be what you want. It might be what someone else wanted for you or what society or Instagram tells you should want because that means you're successful. That means you've made it. And this is one of those scenarios. This felt like a natural progression. Like, well, this is what happens when you reach a certain number of downloads, and that means you made it. But it wasn't like truly what I was after. And I sat with it for a while. And the reason I sat with it for a while is because instead of trusting my intuition, like I always tell you to do, I was seeking outside counsel from people in the industry. And everyone in the industry was like, what are you talking about? This is great. Like, just keep it. Why would you get rid of it? And so I listened to that for a little bit too long. And one day I was just like, no, I just know that it's not what I want. I want to go back to having complete control of the podcast. And I know it was the right decision because the moment I hit send on the email, I felt so much relief wash over me. And I just knew it was the right move. Like I felt free. And at the same time, I also felt like really embarrassed. It's like I did a whole podcast episode about manifesting this podcast deal and how I was so excited about it. And now I'm just walking away. Like, what's everyone going to think? Are they going to think I'm a failure? Are they not going to take me as seriously because I'm not backed by a media group? Am I going to lose credibility? Are people going to think I'm crazy? These are all the mind tricks that get played whenever there is a change. And that was really coming through strong. But as always, the universe sends me a sign when I need it the most. And I came across this article that was talking about Candace Owens. And I know she's a polarizing figure. So just aside from that, you either like her or you hate her. But aside from all of that, this article was really about how she did something remarkable. She left the Daily Wire because they were no longer aligned with her values, I think. Like, I don't really know the real reason, but I think that's why. And she went solo, recording like in her basement. And she took her audience with her. So a lot of people thought, oh, she's leaving. She's going to fail. She's going to just disappear. But she didn't disappear. She started over again from scratch on YouTube and grew to over 6 million subscribers. And now she's at like 3 or 4 million downloads per episode. And she takes breaks all the time. She'll take a break from the podcast for a week or two, go on a family vacation. She works around her kids' schedules. She only does what is aligned with what she truly wants to do. So, like her or hate her, she is an example of showing you how you don't need to rely on a network anymore. And that was like the lesson that I got from that. Like that was the sign that I took. We no longer live in a world where you need a big company or a publisher or a media group to validate your work. You can build something directly with your audience. And even if you decide to leave, your audience can go with you. All you need is a laptop and a microphone. And that was really a sign for me that, like, okay, I'm going to be fine. Like, all of these fears that are coming up, yeah, there may be some truth to it. There may be some people that don't like it. But I think the vast majority of people that have stuck around this long aren't here because I'm part of a media group. They're here for the content, for what I talk about on this podcast. And so it's just looking at my life as a whole and realizing there's so many instances where we are manifesting what Instagram tells us success looks like or what a mentor tells us success looks like, but not necessarily what we truly want. And sometimes you have to get those things to realize those things really weren't that important after all. And I truly want what I've always wanted. It's been my motto for years, which is manifesting a life I don't need a vacation from. And that means building a life where I don't need external validation to enjoy it. I don't need strangers on Instagram to think I'm successful. I don't need to constantly level up and do things just because that's the next level, the natural progression. I don't need to keep collecting, status symbols. It's about creating freedom to live life on your terms. And there's so many instances of this. Like, I remember putting on my vision board for so long, I wanted the blue verified check mark on Instagram. Why? I don't even know, because I just saw other people getting the blue check mark, and so I wanted it too. It's another status symbol. It's an ego thing. It's not backed by anything that you truly want that's going to be fulfilling. Same thing with, I did the episode about getting a new car, and I got a Palisade, and I love the Palisade. For years, what was on my vision board was a G-Wagon or like the new Lexus. But that whole experience with getting the Palisade, I'm like, I don't even want that. Why is it on my vision board? It's on my vision board because I see that's what other people at the next level have. And so I feel like, well, I have to have that. That's the next thing. And that's validating this next level of success. And that's not the case at all. What I really want is freedom, which means I want to be in control of my business and my podcast and be able to take a break if I want or change things up without asking permission. And that's been a continual pattern that has repeated itself. And I think that I'm learning the lesson, as I go more and more, that just because I'm not in the corporate 9 to 5 job doesn't mean I can't get stuck in that same scenario where I am asking someone else for permission. And I don't want to do that. So I want to create freedom, live life on my terms. And part of that is walking away from the podcast, not the podcast deal, podcast media group. So what does this mean for the podcast moving forward? So I am contractually obligated for the next 90 days. So we're looking at like October. I will be officially free and solo. And I'm just going to look at it as like a fresh new start without all the ads. And honestly, like, I don't exactly know what the podcast will look like. I don't know if it'll just continue as is, if I will do some series or a season. Like, I don't know. I know it's not going away, but the format might change or it might not. I'm just going to let my intuition guide me. And I really hope that you stick around for this next chapter. And I'll see you in the next episode.